All right, guys, we're going to get started in just a second. I just put the link to the agenda in the chat. I'm going to put it in one more time because if you just joined, you may not see that first chat. And as we're waiting for everybody to join in, our check-in activity is for you to think of an emotional weather forecast. How are you? What's your emotional forecast today? And throw that into the chat so we can see how everybody's feeling today. So mine, I'm mostly sunny today, but there is a chance of some tantrums, especially if my Google LTI keeps messing up. Let me change that. Thanks, Virginia. Thought I had that so everybody can edit. So if you refresh that, you will be able to edit the access and edit the agenda. And right now, as we're waiting for everybody to get to jump in, we're just putting our emotional, how we're feeling, our weather forecast in the chat in our Zoom room. I love that, Rosita. A bit cloudy, but expecting sunshine. Clear and sunny. Working on it. All right, I am going to throw this in the chat one more time for everybody that has just joined. And if you are able to get into that document, there is a spot here in the very beginning. What are you wondering? And if you could just throw in, if you have a burning question about Canvas Commons that you want to make sure is addressed in the next hour, jump in there and type in the what are you wondering. Virginia is doing a great demonstration right now, and then we'll get started in just a minute. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing some wonderings get placed into our little wondering spot here on our agenda. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I will turn the video on for that. I'm Emily Elliott, and I work in the Department of Innovation and Digital Learning. And today we're going to be talking about Canvas Commons, which is a specific part of Canvas that allows you to both share to and pull in from, sort of like an exchange of different learning objects from Canvas. So I also have a co-host with me, Cameron Ertz, and she's going to be my wingman watching the chat for me, as well as helping me put, answer any questions that come up in the chat. And so I'll let her introduce herself really quickly.
Hi, everyone. I work mostly with high schools, so it's good to be here today and have a good session.
So we're gonna jump right in. I will try to address some of these wonderings are not necessarily about commons. They're more Canvas general questions, but we will try to address those as well. So this is the way this is going to work. Everybody hopefully is in our agenda. And Cameron, while I'm getting started here, can you put that in the chat one more time so that everybody has access to it, even if they just jumped in? Thank you, man. So hopefully at the end of this hour, and it is going to fly, at least for me, because I'm going to be talking too much, you will be able to find Canvas Commons. You'll be able to search and filter for the things that you want to use from Canvas Commons. You'll be able to import those things that you find, and you'll be able to customize them once you have them. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to be showing you something and then having you jump into Canvas Commons and doing that. So it's going to be a little bit of direct instruction, then some application, then a little bit more direct instruction, then some more application. And we're going to try to get through all three of these big objectives that we have. So to jump right in, I'm so excited we're still on time, even though we started a couple minutes late. I'm going to give you guys just a second, now that you maybe have a better idea of what Canvas Commons is. There is a spot right there on our agenda that says, what are you wondering? And my friends are adding to that to make sure that we don't leave anybody's burning question behind. So I am not sure I don't even want to try to pronounce that, what this platform is, but I do have, I have another colleague lurking in the background. Maybe she could look into that for me while I'm working. I don't think that's part of Commons per se, but there may be an LTI integration. Thanks, Ruby. So thanks for the pronunciation guide there. There may be an integration option for that. We're going to focus on Commons, which is not necessarily app integrations. It's more learning objects that teachers have placed in this kind of repository. Out of those courses and into the course I have set up and made, I teach the same class 3 times. So Virginia, I think what you may be looking, we can try to address this at the end, but again, we're going to really focus in on Commons, which is a very specific part of Canvas. So hopefully I can answer some of these more general Canvas questions. But can you import just a module? Yes, a Commons question from a course. Yes, and we are going to look at how we can import specific learning objects. How do you delete a sandbox? We will try to get to that, Sharon. I think I'll have time to show you that. Send my class to a peer in my department, or do they have to manually search for it? Yes, and yes. So yes, you can send your class directly to someone, a colleague, using the 3 dots and send to, and I'll demonstrate that. But you could also share it to Commons and have them pull it in. So both ways would work. So we're going to jump in. You guys continue to add wonderings in that spot if you still have some. And Cameron might be able to answer some of these more general Canvas questions while we're looking at Commons. So I'm going to move into some direct instruction. And we're going to be looking at what is Canvas Commons, what's in Canvas Commons, and how we can search and filter for some of the things that are in Commons. So I'm going to be doing just some kind of direct demonstration, show and tell right now, and then I'm going to give you a chance to search and find your own learning objects. So I am in Canvas right now, and I'm at my dashboard. So I see all of the courses that I'm either enrolled in or an instructor in, and along my navigation bar, on the side is called my global navigation bar. I should see a button 4th from the bottom called Commons. And if you do not see that button, then the best thing to do is to go down here to help and report a problem. So everyone that is an instructor in CCSD should see this Commons button. So if you're in this workshop and you don't see that, you want to go to help and report a problem, and they can fix that for you. Make sure you have the right configuration. But I do have that button, luckily, since I'm facilitating this, and I'm going to click on it right now. So I click on Canvas Commons, and it takes me to this repository of all kinds of learning objects. There are courses, there are pages, there are documents, there are images, there are modules, there are quizzes, there are discussion. Any learning objects that you can have in Canvas, you can find in Commons. Right now, there are 130,281 results. And these are all things that teachers have placed here to share with other teachers. So you can see the first two that are featured are actually featured from within our district. And the first one here that I want to point your attention to is some student and parent support modules that our team, IDL, created for you to pull into your classes. So these are actually modules for parents and students when they enroll in your course that gives them an overview of Canvas. When a parent enrolls as an observer, that will give them an overview of Canvas. So when I click on that, you might want to come right over here, and when you have a chance to search through Canvas Commons and favorite this resource. But as I'm in here, I can preview any of these things. I see that there are 3 modules: this Do Not Publish Teacher Instructions module, a module for Canvas support for parents, and a module Canvas support for students. I can see that there are 2 pages and there are 11 files included. So I can look at several details and previews of what I'm looking at before I pull it in. I can also click over here on details and see a detailed description of what this resource is, who authored it, what account it came from, any tags or filtering issues, and even any reviews that are associated with this learning resource, all in details. Version notes is grayed out, but you'll see if anyone updates a resource that they're sharing to Commons, then best practice is to be as specific as possible in saying exactly what you added, took away, or changed, so that people know what that version, what's going to be in the newer version. So just to review, I'm in Canvas, I clicked on Commons, and now I'm looking at over 130,000 things that I can pull into my Canvas if I want to, if I deem them worthy. Well, I don't want to look at 130,000 things, so I want to show you really quickly how I can filter for just things that are shared within my district or just things that are shared for my grade level. So I clicked on filter, and I have several options here. I can toggle this switch on, and you will see what changes over here. I now only have 45 results, and everything I'm looking at now has a red check mark on it. That is because all of these resources have been provided and approved by Charleston County School District. Most of these were created by the district instructional specialists, either for elementary or one of the content areas. So all of these are courses that you can pull in. If you're a 2nd grade teacher, here's a 2nd grade course shell that Kayla Clark created. And the great thing about this is it actually already has some content in it, at least for the first 2 weeks. It has a course structure, and you would be able to pull this in, edit it, and make it yours. So that's the first thing I want to show you, is this filter. Now, just because it's approved by Charleston County School District doesn't mean that you can't use things that aren't officially approved. We're just using that to distinguish between things that Charleston County teachers are sharing and the things that the district instructional specialists have created for teachers. So I can also toggle that off, and I can come down here to where it says shared with and click Charleston County School District teachers to also narrow. So I have now 172 results, including the ones that came up that were approved by Charleston County. I can also come in and say I just want lower elementary results, or if I want to only look for modules, I can also use tags, um, lab, and then I can also sort over here by most relevant, latest, most favorited, or most downloaded. So this is where we are going to, right now I'm just clicking those filters off. So it's just like filtering in Amazon, or if you do any online shopping, I can remove those filters and I will see that the resources will grow. I still have that tag up there, so I remove that and I see even more filters, even more featured content come back up. So I'm going to stop talking now. Um, and I do want to make sure that I'm going to give you a chance to go into comments, search, use the filter, but I do want to make sure that when you find something, you favorite at least one thing. So you have an assignment for the next, how much time did I give us? Yes, for the next, we're going to say 8 minutes. I would like you to open Canvas Commons, search for something, use that filter, find something that you might want to use in one of your courses, and make sure you favorite at least one thing. And at the end of 8 minutes, I'll give you a little warning and kind of bring you back to the Zoom. So my timer's saying we have about 3 minutes left, but I don't want you to just, if you've already found some things and you're ready to come back, you can throw that in the chat. If you're still looking, you can also throw that in the chat. I'll give you another minute or two because I want us to have a good amount of time to actually play around with the things that we found. So I just threw a poll out there that hopefully will pop up for you just to let me know if you need a little more time. Polling is a really fun feature in Zoom, or you can let me know that you're ready to move on. Karen, I'm looking at your question in the chat. Is that the CCSD 7th grade social studies template?
Yes.
Okay, we'll look at that, and we may need to talk to Lacey about uh, making that a little skinnier so that
Okay.
it will come over.
Okay. Is it required to download or import something like that? Or can I just look at the template on the screen that I have?
So you can look at the template on the screen that you have. It's definitely not required that you use those, but the district instructional specialist wanted to provide some tools to, because so many people are beginners with Canvas. So it's really just meant to be a boon to your experience
Okay.
with this new platform.
Okay,
But it's
thank
not
you.
required. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'm seeing people are ready to go, so I am going to end this poll and we're going to keep moving. You guys are keeping me on track, which is awesome. So we looked at what is Canvas Commons, what's in Commons. We did some searching and some filtering. We looked at the CCSD objects and the CCSD approved objects, which have that red check next to them. And then you actually went through and found some learning objects, and hopefully you favorited something. So the next part, what I'm going to show you to do is how to. You may have heard in other Canvas trainings, you may have heard the term sandbox thrown around. We use it quite a bit, and actually Canvas uses it quite a bit. So if you're wondering what a sandbox is, and if you should already have one, you may, but it's really just a practice course. And in the context of Canvas Commons, I recommend using a sandbox, creating a sandbox that's kind of like a Commons repository, because anybody that uses Canvas can share to Commons Um, you kind of have to have a buyer beware attitude. That's why it's nice to filter for those things that we know have been vetted by our district instructional specialists. There's some great stuff out there. There's also some stuff that people maybe didn't even finish and were just like, what does this button do? And shared it to Commons without it really being ready for prime time. So having a repository sandbox that's just for your Commons stuff so that you can really vet it, make sure it's something that you want to use with your students before pulling it into your actual course is going to help you to make sure you're using the highest quality learning objects. So I'm going to walk you through how you might create that kind of sandbox. We're going to look at how we can import learning objects. And like almost all things ed tech, there are several different ways to skin the proverbial Canvas Commons cat. You can go to Commons and import from there. You can be within your course and import favorites. I'm going to show you that. And then we're going to practice with so once we get some stuff into our Sandbox course, we're going to actually practice with playing around with them. So we're going to enter our next phase of direct instruction. I will show you the things that I'm talking about, and then you will have an opportunity to apply these things. So I'm back now in Commons, and I have favorited some different things. I've got all kinds of learning objects in the background favorited, and I want to now go to my dashboard. And I want to make sure that I have a place to put these, that I can vet them first, like I was just saying. So from my dashboard, on the right-hand side, I have a button that says Start a New Course. So if you are a regular ed teacher, and you're in PowerSchool and everything is right, you probably have a bunch of what we call production courses from PowerSchool already there. This is going to be separate than that. I'm going to call this course Commons Sandbox or Commons Repository. I'm actually going to add a 2 on the end of this because I already have one. I'm going to not share this make this publicly visible, and I'm not going to worry about the content license because this is really just for me to collect my things from Commons and vet them before I put them in my real course. So I'm going to click Create Course. And here I am. I'm in my Commons Sandbox 2 course. So I have 2 options at this point. I can either, on the right-hand side, I have all of these little buttons over here, and one of them is Import from Commons. If I click on Import from Commons, it is going to take me to Commons, and I can either look for the things that I favorited from here. So anything that I have favorited in Commons will be here, or I can use the same trick I used before and filter for something. I'm going to actually choose that featured resource that I shared with you earlier, Student and Parent Support Modules. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click Import Download, which is going to ask me again, well, which course do you want to put this in? And I can actually choose multiple courses. If I want to put this in, maybe it's a module that I want to use in several courses that I have. I'm going to select the course I want to import it into and click Import into Course. You have successfully started the import. It may take a little while to see changes in your course. So while it's taking a little while to do that, I do want to show you. I'm going to go back to my courses, and I'm going to go back to my Commons Sandbox 2 and show you another way that you can pull in straight from your favorites. So I see it's a wonderful question there, Karen. Can you import just a module from the course? If it is shared as a module, you can pull in just that module. I'm going to show you right now. I'm in this Sandbox 2 course. That thing is currently being imported But right over here, I'm in modules because that's what my default home is for this course. I want to use my 3 dots here and click Commons Favorites. This is going to show me any modules or pages, any learning objects, pretty much anything that is not a full course that I have favorited that I can pull in to this course. So I checked on this one, imported module, and it is probably in line right now behind the import status. Come on, friend. So that's going to pull right in. There it is. So now this is from the course, and then this is the imported module that didn't have anything come over. So it'll come over in just a second. So to answer your question, if it's already a module, you can pull in just that module. If it is a course, like we went back and forth when we created these parent support and student support modules, whether to package them all together in a course or to make them separate modules. And the reason that we stuck them together in a course is because then you can take them and put them where you want them. And we wanted everything to come together so you didn't have to go back and find extra things. But let me show you this. Anytime I create anything, me personally creates anything that goes into Commons for CCSD teachers to use, I always put a teacher, this is how to use this, do not publish this page, here's some information for you. And we did the same thing with these modules. And in this, how to use these modules, this is going to answer your question, Karen, I promise. There is how to take this module and put it in another course. So you can pick and choose the pieces of the course that I pulled from Commons and pick which parts you want to put in your real courses or your production courses. And there's actually a video that will walk you through these 8 steps. Does that sort of answer? You can throw in the chat if that answers your question, or you can use your voice and tell me.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Good. Sure. So what we just went from courses, and we were at home, and we imported from Commons right from this course. From within my course, I clicked import from Commons and pulled something in. We also looked at how, and there it is, the imported module. That was a bad choice because that module looks like kind of a mess. Sorry. We also looked at how we could directly pull in modules, pages, or more discrete learning objects that we have favorited right here from modules by clicking on the ... Commons favorites, and pulling it in from this panel that opens up here. That's why I wanted you to favorite at least one thing so that I could demonstrate that for you. So what I want, before we get into editing the learning objects, I want you to have a chance to, if you don't already have a sandbox, and maybe you want to create another sandbox that's just for Commons, I want you to have a chance to create that sandbox, import a couple of learning objects, either by going directly to Commons, directly to your course and import from Commons, or within a module or a page with the 3 dots. And I want you to pull in some things. I'm going to give you about, we'll say 6 minutes, and then I'll check in on you. And so what you're going to do real quick before I let you go, you are going to, if you go to your dashboard, maybe you already have a sandbox that you're using for Canvas Commons resources. Maybe you need to make a new one that's just for your Canvas Commons. So you're going to, in your dashboard, click on Start New Course, call it whatever makes sense to you, and then you are going to either go into Commons and import, or go from within the course and import. I'm going to give you about 6 minutes to make your sandbox and pull at least one thing in. we have about a minute. I see a few people need more time, so I'm going to honor that minute. I might even give you a tiny bit more than a minute. There's our timer. So we're going to, I'm going to jump back in to, hopefully you had time to, oh, this is the thing that happens every day during, whenever I'm working in a big group. My computer is shutting down. Luckily, I'm running this on 2 different computers. So that's going to shut down. I'm going to just switch where I'm sharing my screen from real quick. And I will definitely need Cameron your help to watch the chat and everything, since now I don't have 2 screens. I love it when that happens. Okay. You got a little bit of extra time here while I'm figuring this out and grabbing my agenda back. Here we go. So you have so much fun in Zoom world. You have searched, filtered, favorited, and hopefully now you have had a chance to create your sandbox and import a learning object or 2 into that sandbox course. So I want to give you a couple of extra pointers about Canvas Commons, and then give you some tips about how you can use the different pieces of that course that you pulled in, if it was a full course, in your real courses if you're using that repository. So let me see. Zoom is being really weird, so we're just gonna keep going. Here we go. So in Canvas Commons, I wanted to show you just a couple of other things that might be useful to you as you are working and using different things in Commons. So by default, you're always going to be at search, and that's where we searched, we filtered, we sorted. But you also have some other options here. You have shared. So anything that you actually share to Commons, and you will see that in your dashboard in a course, you will see a button to actually be able to share to Commons, something that you might want to share with a colleague. We had a question or wondering about that at the beginning of our time together. That would be one way to get your resource out to colleagues within your school or outside of your school, or even out to the whole world, the Canvas world, that is. Anything that you have imported is going to be in that next tab over. So if you are in Canvas Commons and you clicked on imported, you would see anything that you imported today or previously. Updates, you'll notice that it has a little number next to it. So if any of the objects that have been created by someone and I pulled them in and they change them, maybe they add another resource, maybe they add another assignment or another module, they have the option to then reshare that course or learning object to Commons. And what that's going to do is give everyone that has imported that resource a notification that there is an update. That's why it's so important that if you are sharing to Commons and you are updating things, you want to make sure when you reshare, it will give you the option to add a version. Actually, it requires you to add version notes And you want to make sure that you are specific with exactly what you're adding, because that helps people know whether or not they really need to update that resource. Same thing with grades. When you're sharing to Commons, you have the option, I'll just show you real quick. You have the option, I don't own this course, so that was a bad choice. Let's see. Here. You have the option to choose different, it's in settings. If I go to settings and I see this share to Commons, this is something I've actually already shared to Commons, so you'll see, is this an update to a previously shared resource? So I can toggle that on or off. I can add any version notes that I need to, and I can also, down at the bottom, I can make the selection for grade level. And this is really important because as you were working in and looking for things, you probably used those grade, the grade filter to look for just grade level work. And if people did, by default, it's going to be all grades. And if it's a 9th grade social studies module, then and they choose all grades, it's going to show up whether you click 3rd grade, kindergarten, 12th grade, because the person sharing didn't narrow that down. So I always recommend to do that because it just helps the people that you're sharing with. So now that you've imported some things, here are some ways that you can go in and edit them. So if there is, here's an assignment, and maybe I'm not in love with any of this. I'm just going to click on that. I can edit any of these objects, any of these directions. I can add my own take to it, or change. Maybe I want to also offer the option for students to do a media recording. So I can make any of these learning objects that I have imported, I can make them my own. And then I can copy to, so this was an assignment that came over in that big import, and I can click the 3 dots, copy to, and choose a course for that to go to, if you use the right keyboard. Too many computers at one desk. Elementary technology class is the one that I was looking for. So copy. So now this assignment will have come over to my actual course that has students in it called Elementary Technology class. The other thing that you can do is to go to your course. So this was my Sandbox course, but perhaps I want to go to the actual course. So I'm going to the elementary course and I want to import existing content. So maybe I've pulled in that course that is actually those modules, and I really just want the modules. I don't necessarily need everything. So I want to copy a Canvas course, but I want to select specific content. And then I'll type in the name of that course. You want to have the exact name. And once that comes in and you select that course, you would be able to import and then select really specific, the specific modules that you want to pull into this course that you're in. And remember that if you're doing that for the that course with the modules on student and parent support modules, which is what I was not recalling a moment ago, then this how to use these modules has a video on exactly how to do that. So I want to stop at this point and not only offer you a chance to ask questions, but also if you want to jump into some of the things that you have imported, then I see, then we will get, then you can have a chance to do that. So I'll answer some questions and then you can play around while I'm answering questions. So my friend with her hand up.
Me.
Yes.
So earlier, whenever you copied, you showed us how you could edit it and then you copied it into the course. That original course that you imported, does it stay like it is so that you have, basically it's like you're making a copy. And so your edited one is the one that you're putting in your class that you want to use, the published course.
You
right?
kind of sort of just answered your own question.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I actually edited that before I copied it to the course. So if I copied that to my technology course that I have students in that I'm going to be using, but I didn't edit it first, it's going to go over as is. Any edits that I make in the technology course are not going to be, it's not like a Google Doc where it's like a collaborative and all those changes are live. You're right. It makes a copy. So now two copies exist. One in my Sandbox, and the one that I edited in my, technology course.
So if let's say I edit it and I take that edited copy and put it into my published course, within the published course, can I then also edit it additionally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I wouldn't be able to edit the original course I imported. Is that right?
You would
in my published class.
Right. You would have to do that in it's two separate places. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Great question.
Okay. Thanks.
What other questions do we have coming through? So I'm going to give you a little, you're not off the hook yet, but I will point out that there is a space here, and I have to brag on myself a little bit. It says 155, and it is 155. I would love it if you would just throw one thing in the agenda that you learned today or that you plan to put into practice. I'll also point out that there exists right here, linked just below that, the Commons Guide. So a guide to how to do anything and everything in Canvas Commons, and that link is there. And then if you wanted to share like what your next steps were, you could, but that's totally optional. There's also, to get credit for today in Frontline, I want to make sure that you see down here the sign in bit.ly for our virtual kind of sign in sheet. So since we're not all together to sign a piece of paper, that's how we'll keep track of attendance today. Do be patient with us. We're a small team and we're marking attendance for all of the sessions we've had in the last week. So we will get to that. We have to do it manually, and we'll get to that as soon as we are able. Canvas Commons is the third choice down when you open that form. What other questions do we have?
So are you saying that we have to make a sandbox, or is you're just recommending a sandbox course?
I recommend that you use a sandbox course unless you are 100% sure this is definitely something. And even if you don't pull it into a sandbox, let's say you do pull it into a published production course that you have students enrolled in, if you decide it's not something that you want to use, you can always remove it by going to assignments or modules or pages, depending on what it is, and look for the 3 dots, and that will let you unpublish or remove.
Okay.
It's just my recommendation.
So like a sandbox is basically like where you can like test it to see if it really would apply to your, okay.
Exactly. That's a great way to sum that up. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, my friends, I don't want to keep you if there are no other questions. I'm going to hang out for just a couple more minutes, but please do make sure that you get signed in through that form at the bottom of our agenda. I hope that you found this helpful and useful, and that you'll be able to use the wealth of resources that are available in Commons in your Canvas courses. Thanks, y'all.
Hi, I just want to make a
Sharon?
follow-up again about deleting the sandbox or rename it. I make a mess. I keep on during the training with Corey. I keep on typing sandbox, and then all of a sudden, I have a bunch of. I created a lot of sandbox now. So my problem is how to erase it, or if I could rename it.
I gotcha. Okay, so I'm in my dashboard and I'm going to come down to the sandbox. Maybe let's play with this one that I just made. So when I click on the three dots in the dashboard, I can rename it here to, or change, actually this changes the nickname. I would rename it in the settings. I can also move. I can unfavorite this. And what that's going to do is it doesn't delete it. I'll show you where to do that also, but it removes it from my dashboard. So let me show you that one more time. The three dots is going to look like this, but if I click on move, I can unfavorite it, submit. It's still in my courses, but it's not on my dashboard. So you can actually go through and unfavorite anything that you don't need to see in your dashboard. You can do that from here, like I just showed you with the three dots, or if you go to courses and scroll down a little bit and click all courses, these have stars, kind of like starred in your Google Drive, and you can star or unstar. What you're doing is favoriting or unfavoriting. Anything that you unfavorite is going to be removed from your dashboard, but it will still be in your courses. If there's something that you want to delete, here's a course called, I named it Delete This Course. If I go into this course and I go to settings, then I can delete this course altogether. This was one that I created just to help a teacher out, so I'm actually going to delete the whole course. So I went to the course, I clicked on settings, and then I click delete this course. It's going to give me a big warning that if you really don't want to do this, if you want anything from this course later, then you might want to conclude it or unfavorite it. That's not the case here, so I'm just going to delete it. Does that help?
Thank you so much. Yes.
Good, good.
It drives me crazy. I waited for several hours in Canvas help, and nobody's. I mean, I'm 99 person plus
Yes.
waiting
Yeah,
for that answer. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
You answered my prayer.
I'm so glad, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for spending your afternoon with me.
Thank you.
Thanks.